the local federal road network, which the people of the area are appealing to the federal government to ensure its completion. The road network, which construction work was flagged up by President Olusegun Obasanjo during his official visit to Nasarawa State, is now consigned to the list of abandoned projects. In spite of the present condition of the contract, NTA Lafia recalls the disposition of the people when the project started.
I think it is impressive now, and it's appreciated. People are not happy with the effort of the federal government.
In fact, we're all now in the happy mood, because in those days when you're applying this road, it takes you 2 hours from Nasarawa to Maraba. But God has so made it that we have now gotten the very nice, reputable contractor handling the contract. We're enjoying the contract because with the shortest possible time, we're able to reach almost Nasarawa, Maraba here now.
Fellow compatriots, happy anniversary. Today marks another critical but reassuring milestone in our glorious march towards the consolidation of our democratic enterprise. We have all, at one time or the other, made sacrifices to ensure not just the survival of our dear nation, but also the flourishing of democratic ethos and values, including good governance, fundamental rights and freedoms, gender equality, positive pluralism, and social justice. Our collective experience has confirmed the fact that democratic constitutional rule is superior and more desirable than any other form of governance. In the process of strengthening and sustaining our democracy, therefore, we must maintain constitutionality with responsibility and expedience. When there are situations that challenge or undermine the tenets of what we have all strived so hard to attain. From our experience, as well as those of other nations, we know that democracy is not just about parties, elections, and the sharing or deployment of power. It is about the soul and spirit of our people. Democracy is about liberties, values, collective visions, and commitments to the ideals of humanity. It is about constructing and sustaining enabling environment that promotes respect for human dignity, individual and collective rights, and boundless opportunities for the human spirit. Democracy is about providing hope and courage to the weak and powerless, to the voiceless and marginalized, and to the oppressed and dominated, without weakening those with some well-deserved benefits or advantages. Democracy is about building open, accountable, sensitive, and effective democratic institutions and structures. And democracy is certainly about fair competition and exchange. Finally, democracy is, at the heart of it all, people, their welfare and well-being, security, hope, fulfillment, rights, dreams, capacities, engagements, challenges, problems, and, of course, solutions. But along with all these, democracy is also about responsibilities, duties, and obligations. The principle or practice of non-indifference, and where possible, the principle of pro-action, must therefore guide our approach, orientation, and our action and reaction. At all times, the larger interest of all Nigerians and of Nigeria must override all other considerations. It is important that we avoid all acts that could damage or deform our democratic structures and practices. Fellow countrymen and women, we all know that there is a direct linkage between democracy on the one hand and peace, stability, love, growth, and development on the other. The same cannot be said for any other form of governance. It takes hard work, good leadership and followership, commitment, and the fear of God to build democracy and development. It takes a shorter period and the exact opposite to destroy democracy and inflict pain, anguish, disillusionment, distrust, destruction, and poverty on the people. Allow me, therefore, to reiterate once again that democracy and violence are strange bedfellows. Democracy emphasizes debate, dialogue, consensus, interaction, and strengthening of confidence, peace, harmony, and stability, with a view to encouraging development and progress. In strengthening our democracy, we must look critically, objectively, and boldly at any situation, action, or condition that may threaten our common resolve to remain firmly on the democratic path. We must deal with roots rather than branches, with disease rather than the symptoms. If we do not uproot the tree that is infecting our democracy, we will be deceiving ourselves. On no account should democracy be taken as license for mutual genocide, mutual ethnic or religious cleansing. Democracy is not an opportunity to waste the future of younger generations and those yet to be born. Neither is it an excuse for political rascality, fiscal indiscipline, the arrogance of power, and the negation of collective ideals. Democracy imposes responsibility, discipline, duty, obligations, restraint, and self-control at individual, community, and society levels. There cannot be inclusive democracy which does not recognize common citizenship and which rejects fundamental rights of all citizens, that differentiates between so-called indigenes and settlers. We will not allow undemocratic license under the guise of democracy to destroy our country. We can only have democracy when we have a country. To me, it only depends on how far one wants to go back. We all can be indigenes or settlers wherever we find ourselves in Nigeria today. Our constitution only recognizes Nigerian citizenship, either by birth or by naturalization. Anyone who advocates or practices anything different is committing an unconstitutional act. My dear people, today we are suffering for the mistakes and misdeeds of the past. For too long, we have allowed the world to give us a bad name, bad description, bad label, bad identity, and bad image. We do not like it. We complain about it, but we do not seem to do enough to change the situation. Fellow citizens, today As a special day in our lives, I invite you all to join hands to reject the undeserved stereotypes about us and our great nation. We must collectively, boldly, and assertively decide to reject the description or categorization of Nigeria as a country of 419, advanced fee fraud. We must state loudly and at all times and everywhere that 419 is not our number and that we reject it, that it is not our name and we also reject it. The notion that Nigeria is unsafe has eaten so deep into our thinking that we now believe it to be true, almost in all cases and at all times. In fact, we appear to take delight in exaggerating accidents and the pains of others, while we ourselves circulate stories about breaches of security. It is so unfortunate that we fail or refuse to see steady, progressive, and positive changes in the area of security. We refuse to commend ourselves and our institutions for the ongoing changes. Available statistics show that the cases of crime reported in our country in a month pale into insignificance compared to what occurs in some cities around the world in a day. Of course, those who stereotype us point at insecurity based on ethnic and religious conflicts and other forms of violence. To be sure, dear brothers and sisters, that is not our description, and we should and must reject it. We are not a violent people. Over 99% of our towns, villages, and cities are safe. We are a peace-loving people. The notion that Nigeria is a nation of anything goes may have been right before 1999. Then commission agents were everywhere, and it was the fashion to undermine due process, the rule of law, and lay down rules and regulations. Certainly, no one can say this of Nigeria today. We must reject such unfair and mischievous descriptions and notions. Today, we are a people resolutely determined to enthrone due process, integrity, probity, transparency, merit, competition, and social justice. The notion that we lack discipline is also unfair and unjust. This is certainly not our identity. We are a God-fearing, culture and value-respecting people. We compare very favorably, if not better, with other nations, including the so-called developed nations of the world. Fellow compatriots, we all know that majority of our people do not fall into the stereotyped categories mentioned so far. Most Nigerians are decent, disciplined, responsible, hardworking, caring, kind, loving, and generally well-behaved people. Those who give us a bad name, internally and externally, are few and unfortunately chronically unpatriotic. Our task is to identify, advise, admonish, cajole, and sanction them. We are the ones to change our image, and we have begun the process. No matter what it takes, Nigeria must become a nation of disciplined, responsible, productive, hard-working, democratic African people who shun corruption, violence, and anti-democratic conducts. Other choices are unthinkable and unacceptable. We remain the architect of our own fortunes in this land. Not only do we reject bad names and labels, but we also reject bad acculturation and imposition of alien values and ways that are inimical to our national unity, interest, and development. Democracy is a way of political life and practice that we have chosen, but democracy plus those enduring values and virtues that can build and sustain a nation and civilization is what is required to lay solid and sustainable foundations for today and tomorrow. We know that the task is not easy and that the choices are tough, that we must all brace ourselves up for the task ahead. The task is that of making Nigeria great. Greatness will not be achieved on a platter of gold, and it will not be a picnic. So, let us all roll up our sleeves for the task of remodeling, repositioning, reforming, and reconstructing our nation for tomorrow and for today and future generations. Let us all be counted as part of that generation that was faced with a challenge and did not find excuses or take shortcuts. Let us be part of that generation that made the necessary sacrifices to build a credible, strong, and democratic structure. What we do today will have meaning and far-reaching implications for tomorrow. I have always been optimistic about Nigeria. That is why I have always put Nigeria above everything else in my life. The signs that I have seen in recent times have confirmed my optimism. Nigerians are capable of change, and they are changing. Whatever we are doing right today, we must keep doing them right. Changing for good is one thing we are doing right. Let us keep on that path. Let us keep changing for the better. For the frustrations, pains, disappointments, and dashed hopes of pre-1999, I can only apologize to Nigerians on behalf of the culprits. However, to avoid a return to the dark, hopeless, and mismanaged past, we must all join hands to build a truly democratic, productive, and caring nation, where no one will be oppressed and social justice shall reign. It is possible to attain these ideals. You have the will, the capacity, the energy, the focus, and the blessing of God in several ways. Let us eschew despondency, cynicism, indolence, jealousy, and automatic and permanent distrust of ourselves, especially our leaders, governments, policies, and programs. Isolating yourself from the process of change and development hardly helps you, your community, or your country. No one can do it alone. The challenge before us must be addressed collectively and patriotically. Fellow compatriots, changing for the better has some short pains and costs. Undeserved privileges to be done away with. this should not be an excuse to take a negative, uncouth, and violent positions against policies designed to strengthen the nation and improve the lives of the people. Even God, our Creator, tells us that such attitudes and positions are unholy. For how can you be happy, sleep well, eat well, and be safe when the majority cannot afford any basic items? The security and happiness of all is the goal of our society. We must build a nation and communities that care and share. We must continue to look up and hold our shoulders and heads high. We are sure to reach our goal. God has been kind and very generous to us. He will continue to bless us. A few years ago, I had requested that this day be declared a Thanksgiving and Democracy Day. We should all go to God, our Creator, in prayer and fasting, thanking Him for His past blessing, and beseeching Him to continue to put Nigeria on the path of greatness. I wish you happy Thanksgiving and Democracy Day as you soberly and reflectively go through 3 days of prayer and fasting. May God Almighty continue to be with Nigeria, and may you all be richly blessed. Thank you.
That was a special broadcast on the 2004 Thanksgiving and Democracy Day by the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Nigerian Armed Forces, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo.
Channel 9 Lafia, and here is the news. It is coming to you at this moment because of the Olympic opening ceremony at Athens. I am Umar Abdullahi Ankibi. The town of Lafia will again make history this weekend as it hosts the Board of Trustees and the Central Working Committee of the People's Democratic Party on a walking tour of the North Central Zone. Preparations ahead of the event tomorrow have been those expected include Chief Tony Anene, who is the Chairman, Board of Trustees, the PDP National Chairman, Chief Audu Ogbe, state governors within the North Central Zone, ministers, legislators at both state and national assemblies, and other stakeholders. Issues that border on good governance, delivery of service to the people by both states and federal authorities will be discussed extensively. The event is expected to be televised live to the country by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA. Leader of Nigeria Aid Group of the Jama'atul Nasrul Islam Women's Wing has commended the humanitarian gesture of Governor Abdullahi Adamu to the victims of Yelwa Shandam crisis. Muhammad, who commended the governor, said the aid group was in in Government House to deliver their own package of assistance to the internally displaced persons. While noting that the Women's Wing came into being in January of 2002, she said their activities encompasses all spheres of welfare to the people. She asked the governor to offer more assistance to widows and orphans of the plateau crisis in the areas of education and vocational training. According to Hajia Aisha Aliko Mohammed, the gesture will form the foundation of building a safe and secure future to the affected persons. Governor Abdullahi Adamu thanked the group for the visit and appreciated their contributions to the upkeep of the displaced persons. The third day special prayers for the repose of the soul of the late Mada King Kefi, Alhaji Abubakar Asogoria, was held in Kefi today. Among the sympathizers, members of the Executive Council, the Chief Imam of Kefi prayed to God to grant the deceased eternal rest. Also at the house of the deceased were the Emir of Kefi, Alhaji Muhammadu Chindoya Musa II, kingmakers and traditional title holders. In the meantime, the Speaker of the Nasarawa State House of Assembly, Alhaji Muhammad Ogosho Nao, led members to condole the Emir of Kefi, Alhaji Muhammadu Chindoya Musa II, Mr. Balarabo Ayaga, and the Clerk of the Nasarawa State House of Assembly, Mr. Moses Ondaki. The delegation prayed to God to grant the soul of the late Mada King Kefi eternal rest. In a related development, the management of the Nigerian Television Authority, Lafia, has offered its condolences to the Emir of Kefi on the demise of Mada King Kefi. General Manager of the station, Malam Dalha Abdul Qadir, prayed to God to grant the deceased eternal rest and his family the courage to bear the loss. The Emir of Kefi, Alhaji Muhammadu Chindoya Musa II, thanked NTA Lafia management for the condolence visit on their merit. Report reaching us indicates that the Chairman, Board of Trustees of the People's Democratic Party, Chief Tony Anene, has arrived Lafia in company of the Special Advisor to the President on Political Matters, Professor Jerry Gana. Governor Abdullahi Adamu and some of his Executive Council members received the two PDP stalwarts at the border between Nasarawa and Lafia North Development Area. Well, to the PDP delegation coming to Nasarawa State, we say enjoy the hospitality of Nasarawa State, particularly Lafia. You're welcome. And that ends the news. Thanks for joining us. We're now going back to Athens for the continuation of the parade. And welcome to the news update on NTA Channel 9 Lafia. I am Umar Abdullahi Ankipi reading the news. The town of Lafia is again making history as it hosts the Board of Trustees and the Central Working Committee of the People's Democratic Party on a walking tour of the North Central Zone. Preparations ahead of the event today have been completed by the People's Democratic Party and the Nasarawa State Government. Next, who is the Chairman, Board of Trustees, PDP National Chairman, Chief Audu Ogbe, State Governors within the North Central Zone, Ministers, Legislators at both State and National Assemblies, and other stakeholders. Issues that border on good governance, delivery of service to the people of both states and federal authorities will be discussed extensively. The event is expected to be televised to the country by the Nigerian Television Authority. The Chairman, Board of Trustees of the People's Democratic Party, Chief Tony Aneni, has arrived Lafia in company of the Special Advisor to the President on Political Matters, Professor Jarigana. Governor Abdullahi Adamu and some of his Executive Council members received the two PDP stalwarts at the border between Nasarawa and Lafia North Development Area yesterday. The leader of Nigeria Aid Group of the Jama'atul Nasrul Islam Women's Wing has commended the humanitarian gesture of Governor Abdullahi Adamu to the victims of the Yalwash funds of the Plateau crisis in the areas of education and vocational training. According to Hajia Aisha Aliko Muhammad, the gesture will form the foundation of building a safe and secure future to the affected persons. Governor Abdullahi Adamu thanked the group for the visit and appreciated their contributions to the upkeep of the displaced persons. Special prayers for the repose of the soul of the late Mada King Kefi, Al-Haji Abubakar Asogoria, was held in delegation of some members of the Executive Council. The Chief Imam of Kefi prayed to God to grant the deceased eternal rest. Also at the house of the deceased were the Emir of Kefi, Al-Haji Muhammad Uchindoya Musa II, kingmakers, and the traditional title holders. In the meantime, the Speaker of the Nasarawa State House of Assembly, Al-Haji Muhammad Ogosho Nao, led members to condole the Emir of Kefi, Al-Haji Muhammadu Uchindoya Musa, on the passing away of the Mada King Kefi. Deputy Speaker, Mr. Balarabo Ayaga, and the clerk of the Nasarawa State House of Assembly, Mr. Moses Ondaki. The delegation prayed to God to grant the soul of the late Mada King Kefi eternal rest. In a related development, the management of the Nigerian Television Authority, Lafia, has offered its condolences to the Emir of Kefi on the demise of Mada King Kefi. The general manager of the station, Malam Dalha Abdul Qadir, prayed to God to grant the deceased eternal rest and his family the courage to bear the loss. The Emir of Kefi, Al-Haji Muhammad Uchindoya Musa II, thanked NTA Lafia management for the condolence visit on the emirate. That's the news update from our studios. Happy viewing. But you can stay tuned as we entertain you with some programs before the live signal transmission of the PDP convention activity in Lafia. Stay tuned. Good evening and welcome to the news from NTA Channel 9 Lafia. Presenting the news this evening is Umar Abdullahi Ankbi. The Nasarawa State House of Assembly has shifted its sitting on a bill for a law to make provision for additional funding of the Nasarawa State University CAFE to tomorrow. The deliberation was shifted for tomorrow to allow honorable members time to peruse the document on the additional funding. The sitting, which was chaired today by the Speaker of the House, Alhaji Mohammed Ogoshionao, urged members to make useful contributions to the bill at tomorrow's sitting. The quarterly meeting of the Nasarawa State Advocacy Working Group of the United Nations Population Fund held today in Lafia. Organized by the State Ministry of Information and Internal Affairs, the meeting drew participants from non-governmental organizations from across the state. Correspondent Yusuf Daudakaki, who covered the event, reports that the meeting reviewed previous activities of the group with a view to evaluating the progress made so far. The meeting also resolved to evolve strategies of achieving success of the forthcoming World Population Day celebration scheduled for 26th August 2004. These strategies include advocacy visits, production of fact sheets, and jingles to be aired on both television and radio. The State Advisor of the United Nations Population Fund, Dr. Ademola Olajide, speaks further on the activities of the Advocacy Working Group.
Well, today we were able to, first of all, begin to look at what we need to bring population issues to the fore, particularly as regards the World Population Day celebration, which also have been marked around July 11, but which we are scheduled to mark on the 6th of August. We're going to have a one-day lecture. We're going to have also a series of other activities that are going to bring population issues to the fore, which will include advocacy to key stakeholders, which will include dialogue with parents and community members on getting population issues to the forefront. We've also been able to talk about things we need to do, like develop actions that will bring to everybody, bring to the doorstep of individuals information that touches on Nasarawa State population and development.
The Sarkin Arika, Alhaji Abbas Usman Baba, has commended the Nasarawa State government for providing social infrastructure to the Arika community. Hamza Musa Makarfi reports that the royal father, who gave the commendation in his palace, said since the time of the Northern Regional Government, Arika community has not had it so good until the advent of this democratic dispensation. Alhaji Abbas Usman Baba listed the achievements of the Governor Abdullahi Adamu administration in the community to include the provision of boreholes, a secondary school, and a cottage hospital currently under construction.
Asibiti da ka gani da makaranta da ka gani da rijiya da ka gani da kuma rijiyar da ka gani duk wannan lokacin da jikin rai da firmiyar jiya a tun daga wannan lokacin bisa gaskiya mu ba mu sami komai ta bangaren gwamnati ba sai zuwan gwamnatin Abdullahi Adamu sarkin yaƙi ke zuwa gwamna Abdullahi Adamu sarkin yaƙin kefi a gaskiya ya tuna da mu mutanen Afirka kuma ya yi mana abin yabo ba abin da za mu ce mishi kiran misali ya saka mishi da ake hausawa sun ce in ruwa ci ga gora baya mutu ba sai mun fito fili mun ci ga abubuwan da Alhaji Abdullahi da mu ya yi mana ba duk mutumin harkiya da mutumin kasan harkiya suna farin ciki da abubuwan da ya yi mana. Don a zuwan shi ya bisa gaskiya musa alheri da yawa. Na farko mu mutanen Arika da muna zaman dagaci. Ya zo ya ɗaukaka wannan masarauta ya kai shi ga haki.
The traditional ruler assured the government of continued loyalty to the administration. He also called on the people of Arika to continue to live in peace and harmony with one another. Nigerian Television Authority, Lafia, Mr. Christopher Oklo, has enjoined members of the public to be wary about the dreaded HIV/AIDS pandemic. Correspondent Alice Bame reports the acting general manager stating this when he received a group of youth on a summer camp in Lafia, the Nasarawa state capital. Mr. Oklo charged the campaign team to be committed in educating and enlightening the people on the dangers of HIV/AIDS. He assured them of the readiness of NTA Lafia to assist them in publicizing their activities. Speaking, the leader of the team, Mr. Samsu Gombwa, said the youth camp was aimed at instilling in the participants lessons on reproductive health and career planning. The team was taken round NTA studios on a study tour of the state-of-the-art facilities. A new Madak in Lafia has been appointed by the Emir of Lafia, Dr. Isa Mustafa Agwe I. He is Alhaji Muhammad Awal Yusuf Musa II, who succeeded Alhaji Musa Yusuf Musa II, who died last week. The new Madak in Lafia, who is 47 years old, was until this appointment the Ian Lafia and the private secretary to the Emir of Lafia. A holder of diploma in public administration, Alhaji Muhammad Awal Yusuf is a seasoned civil servant who held various administrative positions before the subsequent appointment as the Lafia Emirate Council Secretary and the private secretary to the Emir of Lafia. The new Madak in Lafia is married with children. Do you care for well-prepared, sumptuous local and international dishes to satisfy your appetite or of your guest? If your answer is yes, then a newly opened Kegwosha's restaurant located at Tudungwandara is your ultimate destination. Correspondent Yusuf Daudakaki reports on this new entrant in the food business.
State
We sincerely apologize for the absence of audio in that report. And with that, report on the food business in Lafia, we also end this news presentations. Thanks for joining us. And we're taking you back to the
news update. My name is Hamza Musa Makarfi. Governor Abdullah Adamu of Nasarawa State has approved the constitution of the governing council of the Nasarawa State University Kefi. Dr. Runwani Lukman is to serve on the council as the pro-chancellor, while Alhaji Muhammad Chundia Musa, the Emir of Kefi, will serve as the chancellor. The vice-chancellor is to serve as member, as well as the deputy vice-chancellor of the university, as well as Alhaji Kasumi Idris is also to serve as member on the council. Others are Mr. Elias Ororumi Adokwe, Reverend Matthew Ishai Audu, Mr. Joseph Mbuladu, Professor Zainab Al-Ali to serve as representative of the Senate, while Professor V.Y. Udo is also to serve as representative of the Senate on the council. Dr. Ibrahim Shaibu is also to serve as representative of the Senate, as well as Alhaji A.S. Modibo, and the Permanent Secretary, Minister of Education, will serve as member. The representative of the congregation is also to serve as member on the council, as well as the representative of the convocation. The constitution of the governing council, according to a press statement signed by Abdullahi Akpaki, Permanent Secretary, General Administration, in the office of the Secretary to the State Government, says the appointment is with immediate effect. The Nasarawa State House of Assembly is sitting this morning to deliberate on a bill for a law to make provision for additional funding of the Nasarawa State University Kepi. Correspondent Ibrahim Tanko reports that the deliberation, which was shifted from yesterday, is to allow honorable members to peruse the document on the additional funding of the university. Yesterday's sitting, which was chaired by the Speaker of the House, Alhaji Muhammad Ogosh Anau, urged members to make useful contributions on the bill at today's sitting. About this time, the Lafia City Center is witnessing the large turnout of Batch B, National Youth Service Corps members who will be passing out at a colorful parade. They have been in their places of primary assignments from September 8th last year to this day of August 17th. A lot of dignitaries from across the state are expected to grace the passing out ceremony. The quarterly meeting of the Nasarawa State Advocacy Working Group of the United Nations Population Fund held a meeting in Lafia yesterday. Organized by the State Ministry of Information and Internal Affairs, the meeting drew participants from non-governmental organizations from across the state. Correspondent Yusuf Dauda Kaki, who covered the event, reports that the meeting reviewed previous activities of the group with a view to evaluating the progress so far made. The meeting also resolved to evolve strategies of achieving success of the forthcoming World Population Day celebration scheduled for 26th of this month. These strategies include advocacy visits, production of fact sheets, and jingles to be aired on both television and radio. The State Advisor of the United Nations Population Fund, Dr. Ademola Olajide, speaks further on the activities of the Advocacy Working Group.
Well, today we were able to, first of all, begin to look at what we need to do to bring population issues to the fore, particularly as regards the World Population Day celebration, which ought to have been marked around July 11, but which we have scheduled to mark on the 26th of August. We're going to have a one-day lecture. We're going to have also a series of other activities that are going to bring population issues to the fore, which will include advocacy to key stakeholders, which would include dialogue with parents and community members on getting population issues to the forefront. We've also been able to talk about things we need to do, like develop fact sheets that will bring to everybody, bring to the doorstep of individuals information that touches on Nasarawa State Population and Development Program.
The Sarkin Arika Alhaji Abbas Usman Baba has commended the Nasarawa State government for providing social infrastructure to the Arika community. Condition in his palace said, since the time of the Northern Regional Government, Arikia community has not had it so good until the advent of this democratic dispensation. Alhaji Abbas Usman Baba listed the achievements of the Governor Abdullah Adamu administration in the community to include the provision of boreholes, a secondary school, and a cottage hospital currently under construction.
Man da kace Arikia tsohon gari kuma ne tarihi da kace asibiti da ka gani da makaranta da ka gani da rijiya da ka gani da kuma rediyon da ka gani duk wannan lokacin da jikan rai da firmiyar ke jiya a tun daga wannan lokacin bisa gaskiya mu ba mu sami komai ta bangaren gwamnati ba sai zuwan gwamnatin Abdullahi Adamu sarkin yakin kefi zuwa gwamna Abdullahi Adamu sarkin yakin kefi da gaskiya ya tuna da mu mutanen Arikia kuma ya yi mana abin yabo ba abin da za mu ce mishi sai mu tale saka mishi da ake sawa sun ce in ruwa cika gora baya mu ba sai mun fito fili mun ci ga abubuwan da Alhaji Abdullahi da mu ya yi mana ba duk mutumin Arikia da mutumin kasan Arikia suna farin ciki da abubuwan da ya yi mana don a zuwan shi ya bisa gaskiya musa alheri da yawa na farko mu mutanen Arikia da muna zaman dagaci ya zo ya ɗaukaka wannan masarauta ya kai shi ga haƙi.
The traditional ruler assured the government of continued loyalty of the people in his domain to the administration. He also called on the people of Arikia to continue to live in peace and harmony with one another. The acting general manager of the Nigerian Television Authority, Lafia, Mr. Christopher Oklo, has enjoined members of the public to be wary about the dreaded HIV/AIDS pandemic. Alice Barmei reports that the acting general manager stated this when he received a group of youth on a summer camp in Lafia, the Nasarawa state capital. Mr. Oklo charged the campaign team to be committed in educating and enlightening people on the dangers of HIV/AIDS. He assured them of the readiness of NTA Lafia to assist them in publicizing their activities. Speaking earlier, the leader of the team, Mr. Samsu Gobwar, said the youth camp was aimed at instilling in the participants lesson on the reproductive health and career planning. The team was taken around to NTA studios by the program manager, Mr. Abdullah Angibi. The new Madaki of Lafia has been appointed by the Emir of Lafia, Dr. Isa Mustafa Agwe I. He is Alhaji Muhammad Awal Yusuf Musa II, who succeeded Alhaji Musa Yusuf Musa II, who died last week. The new Madaki Lafia, who is 47 years old, was until his appointment the EL Lafia and the private secretary to the Emir of Lafia. A holder of diploma in public administration, Alhaji Muhammad Awal Yusuf is a seasoned civil servant who held various administrative positions before the subsequent appointments as the Lafia Emirate Council Secretary and the private secretary to the Emir of Lafia. The new Madaki Lafia is married with children. The death has occurred of Alhaji Shu'aibu Gayam, a commissioner with the Nasarawa State Independent Electoral Commission. Aged 52 years, the deceased was also a member of the Plateau State House of Assembly. He also served as public relations officer of the National Republican Convention in Lafia, as well as chairman Basketball Association of Nasarawa State. He left behind 2 wives and 7 children. Scores of people have been trooping to condole the family on the demise of Alhaji Shuaibu. On the weather condition in Lafia today, the sky appears cloudy, so there may be the possibility of rainfall later in the day. This while we come to the end of news updates on NTA Lafia. We now take you back to Athens 2004. Congratulations to Malians in that encounter between the country of Mali and Korea. Indeed, it ended 2-0 against Korea. Now the news in full. My name is Hamza Musa Makarfi. 5 National Youth Service Corps members were this morning presented with Honours Award for outstanding performance in Nasarawa State. Correspondent Ibrahim Tanko reports that the awards were presented at the passing out ceremony of the 2003 Batch B Corps members posted to the state. The event, which took place at the Lafia City Center, was attended by Governor Abdullah Adamu, members of the State Executive and Security Councils, and the general public. The governor had inspected a guard of honor mounted by the Corps members. In the presidential speech read by Governor Abdullah Adamu, urged the passing out Corps members to avoid antisocial criminal tendencies and charged them to channel their knowledge towards national development.
Over the years, made indelible impact on the redistribution and effective utilization of our manpower for national development, and in the process, contributed much to the upliftment of the standard of living, especially in the rural areas of our great country. I am therefore optimistic that the scheme will continue to add more value to its services to the nation in the years ahead. Public service must always be seen as a call to duty and honest service to the people with all might and dedication. It must always be associated with transparency, determined commitment and high quality service to its clients. Such aspirations informed our current reform efforts, including the recent reorganization of the scheme in order to strengthen it for more effective performance, especially at the grassroots level. Government's current initiative on service delivery is also anchored on the belief that we must rededicate ourselves to performance, efficiency, transparency, and dedication to the realization of the public good. In the context of its invaluable contributions to the cause of national unity and development, the NYSC has truly justified itself. Let me assure you that the federal government remains committed in its unflinching determination for ensuring a bright future for our society.
The Nasarawa State Commissioner for Youth and Sports Development, Mr. Silas Hagara, who is also the chairman governing board of the NYSC, said the government is doing everything possible to ensure sustaining the contributions of the NYSC to the state. Director of NYSC in Nasarawa State, Alhaji Usman Kalba, expressed happiness with the performance of the corps members. In correspondent Altine Jinawa sampled the opinion of some of the members.
When we came down here, things changed quietly. You understand? The people are friendly, the people are nice, and we got well with them. And we like their food, we like their menu and all those things. And at the end of the day, I must tell you, I find it difficult to go back to South. I feel like staying back here because Nasarawa State is a very nice place. Actually, what used to scare me in places is the weather. But I don't think the weather is as bad as they call not. I think this place is okay. Yeah.
What advice do you have for your coppers that are still serving?
Well, I would say for the batch A people still around, they should keep the faith. You understand? There is this saying that wherever you are, you can make something good out of it if you are determined. Even if it's desert, you can make something positive. I want the batch A coppers that are going to succeed us to tap things from this state. Let them tap the positive things from this state so that when they leave at the end of the day, they would have made a very good impact in Nasarawa State.
Thank NYC scheme for giving me the opportunity to be or to serve at Nasarawa State. Serving at Nasarawa State has exposed me to a lot of things, as in I got to know about Hausa people, I got to know about the differences about the state, about meeting coppers from other states, meeting students from other states and sharing experience and gathering experiences from other people. Then what do you have for your coppers that are still serving? Well, for the coppers that are serving, I would say they should make the best use of time and the best of the people around them. Serving gives you an opportunity to see life in a different way. It's a different environment from the school environment. So whatever they are doing presently, they should serve well, meet people well, be social, and make the best out of life.
I remember posted to this place sometime September 2003. And when I came to this place, I found out that Nasarawa is a very peaceful and very nice place for one to serve. Initially, we were scared, quite correct, but when we find ourselves in Nasarawa State, we find out that it's one of the best states in Nigeria. And my experience so far is very, very excellent. We were scared of the climate, but later we find out that the climate was not harsh, was not too aggressive. It was quite good. We also consider the type of food they eat here, but we also find out that with those of us who came from the east, we found out that we still see the varieties of food we eat right from the east. So definitely it's okay. You know, my service here in Nasarawa, you know, it's okay. I did not encounter any problem as per se.
A bill for a law to authorize a supplementary appropriation bill of over 2 billion naira for the services of Nasarawa State government received its first reading by the Nasarawa State House of Assembly. The executive bill was presented before the Assembly by the Majority Leader, Alhaji Abdul Hamid Kwara.
Bracket supplementary appropriation of 2,500,161,000 naira, 161,083 naira, 600 only, 683 naira only for the services of Nasarawa State government for the period of 5 months commencing 1st August to 31st of December 2004. In view of that, I hereby move a motion that this bill be given its first reading, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, sir.
In the same vein, a bill for a law to amend the Nasarawa State law, House Deputy Speaker Mr. Balarabo Ayaga said members will do justice to the issues submitted. However, deliberations on the report of the ad hoc committee on a bill for a law for additional funding to the Nasarawa State University did not hold. Meanwhile, the member representing Lafia Central, Alhaji Ibrahim Hamza, had intimated the House of the death of a commissioner with the State Independent Electoral Commission, Alhaji Aibugam. The Deputy Speaker, on behalf of the legislators, condoled the family of the deceased and prayed to God to grant him eternal rest. A new eatery known as Kegosha's Restaurant, located at Tudun Amba, opened its gates to customers with appetite for excellent food. Correspondent Yusuf Dauda Kaki reports that this new entrant in the food business was officially commissioned over the weekend by Reverend for the benefit of the people of the state capital. Reverend Masin, who is the state chairman of the Christian Association of Nigeria, prayed to God to shower his abundant blessings on the proprietors to enable her serve the people better. Mrs. Sambe, the proprietress of the eatery, who is also the head of Department of Home and Rural Economics with the College of Agriculture Lafia, says is optimistic that with her vast experience in the field, people should expect something different and unique in the food business in Lafia. Guests at the occasion who spoke with NTA Lafia commended the vision of the proprietress and further expressed confidence in her ability to give the people quality food. As part of its corporate responsibility of cultivating partnership in the overall development of Nasarawa State, the management of the Nigerian Television Authority Lafia this evening visited two financial institutions in the state capital. The NTA Lafia management, led by the General Manager, Malam Dalha Abdul Qadir, visited the Lion Bank of Nigeria PLC along Doma Road and the Inland Bank of Nigeria PLC along Akwanga Jos Road. At the Lion Bank, the General Manager asked the financial institution to ensure excellent customer services as well as contribute its quota to the development of the state by way of a partnership with NTA Lafia. The partnership, according to the General Manager, can come through program sponsorship by the bank, which will help in educating members of the public. Lion Bank Manager for Lafia Branch, Alhaji Usman Shehu, thanked the NTA Lafia management for the visit and said the bank looks forward to a mutually beneficial relationship. At the Inland Bank, the manager Alhaji Musa Ahmad Usman said the NTA Lafia has since its commencement of transmission won the hearts of the people, saying the financial institution will do business with the station. Earlier, NTA General Manager said the station is committed to excellent broadcast journalism and enjoined the bank to utilize some of its services to reach out to numerous customers. The death has occurred of Alhaji Shu'aib Gayam, a commissioner with the Nasarawa State Independent Electoral Commission yesterday. Aged 52 years, the deceased also served as a member in the then Plateau State House of Assembly. The deceased was similarly the public relations officer of the defunct National Republican Convention in Lafia, as well as chairman, Basketball Association, Nasarawa State. He left behind 2 wives and 7 children. Scores of people have been trooping to condole the family of the deceased. In a condolence message, the chairman of the State Independent Electoral Commission, Alhaji Muhammad Umar Bala, said the electoral body has lost one of its resourceful and dedicated personalities. He prayed to God to grant the deceased eternal rest and the family the fortitude to bear the irreparable loss. We now take you back to the match between Korea and Mali. At the first half outing, it was 2-0 against Korea. We wish the Malians more goals. Thanks for watching.
Look, at the moment they just played.
Good morning and welcome to the news update. I am Umar Abdullahi Ankbi, reading the news this morning. 5 National Youth Service Corps members were yesterday morning presented with honors award for outstanding performance in Nasarawa State. Correspondent Ibrahim Tanko reports that the awards were presented at the passing out ceremony of the 2003 batch B Corps members posted to the state. The event, which took place at the Lafia City Center, was attended by Governor Abdullahi Adamu, members of the State Executive and Security Councils, and the general public. The governor inspected a guard of honor mounted by the Corps members. The presidential speech read by Governor Abdullahi Adamu urged the passing out Corps members to avoid antisocial criminal tendencies and charged them to channel their knowledge towards national development.
On the redistribution and effective utilization of our manpower for national development, and the process contributed much to the upliftment of the standard of living, especially in the rural areas of our great country. I am therefore optimistic that the scheme will continue to add more value to its services to the nation in the years ahead. Public service must always be seen as a core duty and one serves the people with all might and dedication. It must always be associated with transparency, determined commitment and high quality service to its client. Such aspirations informed our current reform efforts, including the recent reorganization of the scheme in order to strengthen it for more effective performance, especially at the grassroots level. Government's current initiative on service delivery is also anchored on the belief that we must rededicate ourselves to performance, efficiency, transparency, and dedication to the realization of the public good. In the context of its invaluable contributions to the cause of national unity and development, the NYSC has truly justified itself. Let me assure you that the federal government remains committed in its unflinching determination for ensuring a bright future for our society.
Nasarawa State Commissioner for Youth and Sports, Mr. Silas Agara, who is also the chairman governing board of the NYSC, said the government is doing everything possible to ensure a sustaining contributions of the NYSC to the state. Director of NYSC in Nasarawa State, Alhaji Usman Kalba, expressed happiness with the performance of the Corps members in their places of primary assignments. Meanwhile, some of the Corps members spoke on their experiences during the service year. Correspondent Altine Jinawa sampled their opinions.
When we came down here, things changed quietly. You understand? The people are friendly, the people are nice, and we got well with them. And we like their food, we like their menu and all those things. And at the end of the day, I must tell you, I find it difficult to go back to South. I feel like staying back here because Nasarawa State is a very nice place. Actually, what used to scare me in places is the weather. But I don't think the weather is as bad as the Cornut. I think this place is okay. Yeah.
What advice do you have for your coppers that are still serving?
Well, I would say for the batch A people still around, they should keep the faith. You understand? There is this saying that wherever you are, you can make something good out of it if you are determined. Even if it's desert, you can make something positive. I want the batch A coppers that are going to succeed us to tap things from this state. Let them tap the positive things from this state so that when they leave at the end of the day, they would have made a very good impact in Nasarawa State.
Thank NYSC scheme for giving me the opportunity to be or to serve at Nasarawa State. Serving at Nasarawa State has exposed me to a lot of things, as in I got to know about Hausa people, I got to know about the differences about the states, about meeting couples from other states, meeting students from other states, and sharing experience and gathering experiences from other people.
Then what do you have for your couples that are still serving?
Well, for the couples that are serving, I would say they should make the best use of time and the best of the people around them. Serving gives you an opportunity to see life in a different way. It's a different environment from the school environment. So whatever they are doing presently, they should serve well, meet people well, be social, and make the best out of life.
I remember posted to this place sometime September 2003. And when I came to this place, I found out that Nasarawa is a very peaceful and very nice place for one to serve. Initially, we were scared, quite correct, but when we find ourselves in Nasarawa State, we find out that it's one of the best states in Nigeria. And my experience so far is very, very excellent. We were scared of the climate, but later we found out that the climate was not harsh, was not too aggressive. It was quite good. We also consider the type of food they eat here, but we also found out that with those of us who came from the east, we found out that we still see the varieties of food we eat right from the east. So definitely it's okay. You know, my service here in Nasarawa, you know, it's okay. I do not encounter any problem as per se.
A bill for a law to authorize a supplementary appropriation bill of over 2 billion naira for the services of Nasarawa State Government received its first reading by the State House of Assembly yesterday. Correspondent Hamza Musa Makarfi reports that the executive bill was presented before the Assembly by the Majority Leader, Alhaji Abdul Hamid Kwara.
In brackets, supplementary appropriation of 2,500,161,000 naira, 161,083 naira, 600 only, 683 naira only for the services of National State Government for the period of 5 months commencing 1st August to 31st of December 2004. In view of that, I hereby move a motion that this bill be given its first.
Nasarawa State law for the creation of additional members will do justice to the issues submitted. However, deliberations on the report of the ad hoc committee on a bill for a law for additional funding to the Nasarawa State University did not hold. Meanwhile, the member representing Lafia Central, Alhaji Ibrahim Hamza, had intimated the House of the death of a commissioner with the State Independent Electoral Commission, Alhaji Shuaibu Gayam. The Deputy Speaker, on behalf of the legislators, condoled the family of the deceased and prayed to God to grant him eternal rest. A new eatery known as Kegwosha Restaurant, located at Tudun Gwandara in Lafia Metropolis, has opened its gates to customers with appetite for excellent dishes. Correspondent Yusuf Daudakaki reports that this new entrant in the food business was officially commissioned over the weekend by Reverend Joseph Massin. Reverend Massin, who was chairman at the ceremony, commended the proprietress for translating her knowledge into practical terms for the benefit of the people of the state capital. Reverend Massin, who is the state chairman of the Christian Association of Nigeria, prayed God to shower his abundant blessings on the proprietors to enable her serve the people. Mrs. Sangbe, the proprietress of the eatery, who is also the head of Department of Home and Rural Economics with the College of Agriculture Lafia, is optimistic that with her vast experience in the field, people should expect something different and unique in the food business in Lafia. Guests at the occasion who spoke with NTA Lafia commended the vision of the proprietress and further expressed confidence in her ability to give the people quality food. As part of its corporate responsibility of cultivating partnership in the overall development of Nasarawa State, the management of the Nigerian Television Authority, Lafia, visited 2 financial institutions in the state capital. Lafia management, led by the General Manager, Malam Dalha Abdul Kader, visited the Lion Bank of Nigeria PLC along Doma Road, Lafia, and the Inland Bank of Nigeria PLC along Akwanga, Jos Road. At the Lion Bank, the General Manager asked the financial institution to ensure excellent customer services as well as contribute its quota to the development of the state by way of a partnership with the NTA Lafia. The partnership, according to the General Manager, can come through program sponsorship by the bank, which will help in educating members of the public. Lion Bank Manager for Lafia Branch, Alhaji Usman Shehu, thanked NTA Lafia management for the visit and said the bank looks forward to a mutually beneficial relationship. At the Inland Bank, the manager, Alhaji Musa Ahmed Usman, said the NTA Lafia, since its commencement of transmission, won the hearts of the people, saying the financial institution will do business with the station. Earlier, NTA Lafia General Manager said the station is committed to excellence, to excellent broadcast journalism, and enjoined the bank to utilize some of the services to reach out to customers. The news update. Thanks for joining us. We now take you back to Athens for more sport and action at the Olympics. Stay tuned.